What is up, y'all? Welcome to the first episode, officially, of the Player One podcast. I've been meaning to do this for a while, and I'm really excited about the topic that I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight. For the record, I don't have the chat up anywhere because this is going to be recorded. It's going to be uploaded on SoundCloud and YouTube. So this is going to be like an official podcast. So basically, I'm going to just bang through all of these questions about meditation. And then at the very end of this, probably somewhere between a half hour to an hour, I'll look back and see whatever questions you guys had, whatever I have time to answer. So that's how we're going to do this. So feel free to talk to each other, but I do not have the chat up currently. Thank you guys all for coming tonight. It's late. I know it's late where I'm at. But yeah, so some of you probably have heard of meditation. Some of you probably have tried it and have been like, fuck this. This is pointless. But I'm going to share what I think is one of the most powerful things that you can potentially do for yourself and just for how you carry yourself and just the ridiculous impact that it can actually have. So let's talk about, what is it? What is meditation? A lot of people have this woo concept of meditation, and it's this thing that only hippies do it, or only monks do it. But meditation is something that's the concept of it, you actually can apply throughout all of your life. Doesn't matter. You don't have to sit down and float off to space. It's not how it works. All meditation really is disconnecting and not taking your thoughts so seriously. So think of it this way, right? A lot of your day is thinking. Your brain constantly is drawing you into thought. And all of you guys know all of the pain that you experience in your life comes from thinking. Thinking is the cause of all of your fucking pain. All of it. Literally all of it, besides physical pain. Obviously.
Sacred power.
So,
cast your purifying light upon these corrupt
Lightning,
souls.
what is up, buddy?
Rest in
Thanks for the
peace,
subscription.
sinners.
Thanks for the sub. Judgment. I'm gonna wait for that to finish.
Hey, keep doing your thing, homie.
Thanks, buddy. Much love, my dude. So think of all of the pain that you experience on a day-to-day basis. What is it coming from? It's coming from thought. Okay. So there's a saying that I live by, and it came from ancient times in China by this man named Lao Tzu, and I love it. Basically what he said was, everybody that is living in the future is stressed out and anxious, never really happy with what's going on right now, constantly worried about all these what ifs that aren't even real. It's not real. All of the thoughts that you're having about the future aren't even there yet. Okay? So you could be sitting in your comfy bed at night. Everything could be perfect. You got an amazing wife, amazing family, sick-ass job. But just by going into your head, you can start worrying about stuff and start thinking about just all these things that haven't even happened. They're not real. It's all an illusion. All of your thoughts are illusions, okay? So you can literally be sleeping or laying down in your bed, and you can start getting these fight or flight responses that your body will generate. So your breathing will start getting shallow. Your breathing will start to speed up. You're almost in a fight against, a tiger. Why is that happening? You're in a comfy bed, completely safe. Nothing's around you to hurt you. Why is that happening? It's because you're in your head. One of the biggest addictions in the world that nobody talks about is thinking. It's thought. A lot of people say, I can't stop thinking. I can't stop thinking about stuff. Well, guess what? Meditation is the way out. Meditation is your practice to basically get rid of suffering forever. And you're still going to have it. I'm not saying that this is going to be like the cure-all, because thinking can be, when used the correct way, thinking can be an amazing tool. But for most people, it's a curse. So Lao Tzu also said, those that are living in the past become depressed, right? So the past and the future aren't real. Because I can remember the past completely different than you do. The past it's malleable. It's this enigma that's, everybody remembers it differently. I may have thought the dress was red. You may have thought it was orange. How many times have you gotten into a disagreement with somebody like, no, it happened like this. And they're like, no, it happened like this. So the past isn't real. All your thoughts are real. So the cool thing about meditation is you actually separate from thought, and you don't take your thoughts nearly as seriously. It's a very, very cool thing. So he also, thanks, Reg. Thanks for the host, buddy. So something that Lao Tzu also said was, those that live in the present moment are truly happy. Now, easier said than done. But that's where your like internal intelligence comes from. Okay, so your thinking has very surface level, a lot of chaotic thinking happens, on the surface. But when you get present, you completely detach from all of this chaos that can start to just stress you out or bum you out. Because a lot of people that are thinking about the past aren't happy with what's going on right now. So really, all the mind is constantly doing on a day-to-day basis is making you irritated and pissed off and upset. Basically, it's resistance to the moment. Your brain does not want to be in the moment. Your heart does. When you're in the moment, you're most funny. It's when you're in that flow state. It's when you're not thinking about what you're saying. It's just coming out. It's just effortless. That's when you're the most funny. That's when you're the most witty. It's when you're the most intelligent. It's when you're the most relaxed. It's when you're happy. And there is a way to get there on a day-to-day basis, throughout most of your day. And meditation since ancient times has just been a practice. And again, you can meditate just by walking. So I'm going to go over a few ways to do this, but don't think it's just sitting down in monk robes chanting Om. It's not like that. So you don't have to do it like what a lot of people may be thinking of what meditation is. So we're going to go over what the present moment is. So when you are present, think of it like this. I should say, don't think about it like this, but know that in the present moment, there are billions of things happening. All right, somebody's taking a hike. Somebody just died. Somebody is crying out of joy. Somebody is going for a run in this moment. Somebody is eating delicious sushi in this moment. There are billions of things happening in the moment. So the future and the past aren't real. It's just creations of the mind. Life is always happening now. And when you're in the now, when you're living in the now, you become very at ease, and you're kind of just observing. You're just kind of observing what's kind of going on in the moment. Whether that's your breath, whether that's the sounds that you're hearing, the smells, and there's not really a lot of thought going on. So I'm going to go over one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're meditating. Even quote-unquote meditators make this mistake, including myself. I've made this mistake too, especially when I first started. So your brain is constantly trying to pull you away from the moment. The brain does not want to live in the present moment because your ego, I don't want to get too deep into what the ego is, but the ego is kind of this thing where it's just constantly trying to preserve this identity, your illusionary identity. And the ego gets inflated by, by esteem, and it can be good and bad, depending on how you use it. But your ego is going to resist the present moment constantly, but it is imperative. Your main purpose is to be in the moment in whatever you're doing. Now, a lot of people, when they're playing video games, they get into that. They get into the moment. They're getting into that like flow state when they're playing a game. Or a lot of people do shit like skydiving, or they race ridiculously fast on the highway to get into the moment, to get out of the day-to-day chaotic thinking and the stress that's all coming up from up here. Because when you're doing crazy shit, it pulls you into the moment because you have to be alert, right? You have to be present to kind of self-preserve. And it wakes you up. It wakes you up in that moment. Some people take drugs to get there. But after today, you're going to be able to get into the moment by just practicing this on a day-to-day basis. And it's fucking wild. Just to throw this out there, guys, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I used to be very, very introverted. I never did any of this shit. I never really messed around with a lot of drugs when I was younger. And, up until I was 21, I was like your typical closet nerd. A lot of people are shocked when I say I've been like introverted most of my life. And I definitely was not who I am today. And meditation's just really like helped me just chill out. After you meditate, before we talk about that, let me just talk about some results to expect for meditation. Like why do this in the first place? You will be more at peace. It'll be so much easier to just relax. After you meditate, you're going to notice how much more relaxed you feel and how much more comfortable in your own skin you are. And it's crazy because people are constantly chasing that feeling. The pursuit of happiness. Everybody thinks it's like this big pursuit and you can't get it until you're like a millionaire or until you can fuck a ton of girls or whatever it is. It's just, it's like this pursuit. It's not a pursuit. You can pull this out of you. It's your natural state when you can just relax and sit into it. When you sit into the moment, what will happen is after the thoughts start to slow down and subside, first comes peace. You feel really just at ease and you're just kind of observing your breath, observing the things around you. Maybe it's the birds. Maybe if you're outside, you can hear the birds chirping. It's kind of just stillness and awareness. So I just want to assure you guys, you are not your thoughts. First of all, you are not your thoughts. So stop taking thoughts so seriously. You know what enlightenment is, by the way, guys? Enlightenment, and there's no such thing as like I'm enlightened now. It's more of moments of awakening, moments of enlightenment, and all really enlightenment is realizing that you are not your thoughts, realizing that you are thinking in the moment of thinking. So a lot of people are unconsciously thinking. They don't know that they're thinking until they realize that they're getting stressed out. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you guys can relate with that at all, but like thinking will happen. And then all of a sudden you just go down this really shitty train of thought of like it'll just trigger, like somebody says something that irritates you. And then it just triggers like this big train of thought. And all of a sudden you get lost in your head. And like 20 minutes later, you realize you're just like pissed off, and, it can happen. It can happen quick. But what's cool about meditation is it's going to allow you to just be more. It'll allow you to just be present, detach from that negative train of thought, realize in the moment that you're thinking, and just come back to the present. And you will be naturally more at peace and happy. And that, again, when you meditate, your whole quality of life fucking skyrockets. I actually believe it is a necessity to do this, but it's not necessary. It's almost like water and food, except you don't have to do it. Like when you do it, your life is just better. Like period. Because you can just, people can't fuck with you anymore. Like, somebody can say something, and because you're disidentified with your mind, and you realize that you are the awareness behind all of these thoughts, you don't take it seriously. You don't take your thoughts seriously anymore. Because you're not your thoughts, right? Like, I can say pink elephant, okay? Or what pops up in your head right now? Okay? So, that's my thought. So, if you think you're your thoughts, you're wrong. Because that was my thought that I just inceptioned into your fucking head. And, I shit you not. You can change your thoughts. Just to debunk this myth that you think that you're your thoughts. Just to debunk this myth, you can change your thoughts over a period of time. Like, you will literally start to have different thoughts if you surround yourself with different people. You will start having different thoughts if you start taking different actions. You can even start having different thoughts by meditating. Because when you meditate, the fog can kind of start to clear up here, and you just get very centered, and different thoughts will start to come up. And it's fucking wild. It's crazy. Like, all right, perfect example. When I was talking to a girl, back in high school, I had been rejected so many times that I was just like, she probably doesn't like me. Those were my thoughts. Like, I'd walk down the street, and like, if a girl laughed, I'd be like, she thinks I'm a fucking loser. I literally thought this. And fast forward a few years, I started wiring my mind completely differently. I started like thinking to myself, I am the shit. I'm the fucking man. And I started to become this in my own reality, because what you believe is what you become. And we'll talk about this in the podcast in upcoming episodes. I'm really excited to start talking about some of that stuff. But literally, I started having new beliefs. I started changing my beliefs, and meditation allowed me the self-awareness and the groundedness to start implanting these new thoughts into my mind. It's kind of like pick your own video game, choose your own character, right? Meditation wakes you up and makes you realize, oh, dude, like, it's just a big fucking game. Like, what do I want to be? You know what I mean? But like, a lot of people are kind of going through life, and it's just this like day to day, like life is happening to them. They're having the same thoughts every day. They're on autopilot. You can see it. You can see it in people's eyes when they're bored out of their fucking mind. You can see their eyes are glazing over, and they're just bored. They're just having the same thoughts, and they don't know that they're thinking. You know what I mean? Thinking is the biggest addiction in the world. Newsflash. And what's cool about meditation is it lets you separate from it, so you're not addicted to it anymore. Don't you want to be the master of your mind rather than have your mind be a fucking parasite? Because your mind is a parasite until you can start detaching from it. Your brain is not your friend until you can get it on your team. So other results to expect from meditation. You'll start being more grateful for the things in your life because you have the space to appreciate. Especially if you do this outside. I personally like doing it outside. What else? So I think the coolest thing about meditation is that when you have a negative thought, I'm going to give you guys like one of the biggest takeaways I've ever gotten from meditation. When you're having negative thoughts and you realize you're thinking, you won. When you realize that you're having a negative thought, you've won. You've won the game of that. Like that, in that moment, you have awakened. In that moment that you have that negative thought and you might have an emotional reaction to it, what you can actually do is bring yourself back into the moment by just bringing your attention on your breath, putting your attention on your breath, and just slowing your breath down and just breathing. And you literally can't be thinking about anything. You can escape from the mental fucking hell that is your brain when it's going through those negative thoughts. And it is a mental hell. You'll feel that pain. But when you realize that you're having that pain and then the emotion right after, just bring your attention back to your breath. Because in that moment, you're back in that second, you're back in the present. You're back in the now. And just, what I usually like to do is just take 3 slow, deep breaths and just like observe what's going on around me. So and then you don't take the thought seriously anymore. You've detached from it. You've won. That's it. That is it. So that's why you do it. That's why you do it in the first place. So how do we do this? How do we do this thing that is called meditation? So you can do this with your eyes open, your eyes closed, however you want to do this, you can do it. Personally, I kind of change it up, but I do like going outside. It gets me very, it could be like an acid trip. I've never done acid, but I've talked to people about it, and they're like, dude, it sounds like you were on acid. So what I like to do is go out in nature somewhere. And I started out doing 5 minutes a day. And honestly, you don't have to do it. You don't necessarily have to do it every day. Just kind of get your feet wet with it. And it could be a really, really cool experience. So, what you can kind of do is go out, sit down in the grass or the dirt or wherever. And what you can do is just take 3 huge, slow, deep breaths. You can do this right now if you want. And on the exhale, just let all the stress out. Just relax more and more on each exhale. And then after you do that, what I like to do is close my eyes. Personally, this is just what I do. I close my eyes and I start counting my breaths all the way up until 10. So I'll just count. I'll just keep counting up all the way till 10. And I kind of do deep breaths. I kind of do deep breathing for this. And here's the kicker. A lot of meditators are getting pissed off when they're having thoughts. So this is the biggest mistake, and this is the thing that trips everybody up. And I'm going to give you guys the secret right now. A lot of people are like, fuck, I can't meditate. I'm thinking. They're like, all right, try not to think. Fuck, I'm thinking about not thinking. Just chill out, man. When you have the thought, if you realize that you're thinking, know in that moment that you're growing your consciousness. You're growing your presence. When you realize that you're thinking, in that moment, you've won. So the more you bring your attention in that moment when you realize you're thinking, the better you're going to get at this. It's just a practice. So be okay with thoughts. So when thoughts come up, just be chill with it. Just accept them. And just kind of watch the thought as it kind of passes. It's a cool little technique that you can do. Just watch the thought, and then when you realize that you're thinking, just calmly bring your attention back to your breath. And then just pick up on the number of the breath that you left off. Remember, if your attention's on your breath, thinking can't happen. And even if it does, it's okay if it does either way. So just do this up till 10 and then back down. And then here's the cool thing. What I like to, when I do this outside, typically what will happen is I'll keep my eyes closed. And once I hit 1, I kind of reward myself. Because by that time, usually thoughts have kind of slowed down. Thinking really doesn't happen too much. It's a lot more relaxed. So what will happen is in that moment where I bring my attention back to my breath, I kind of just, thank you for the follow, by the way, Chris. So after you hit 1, you can open your eyes. And what you'll notice is that you might not be labeling things. The mind might not be labeling things like it was before. What might happen is you might be looking around outside and there's not mental chatter going on. There's the thoughts that were there before, like, there's no point in doing this. Like, when you first start meditating, you might get that. You'll be like, am I doing it right? What's the point of doing this? I'm bored. This isn't working. What's the point? I'm not feeling any results yet. You might get those thoughts. It's just your brain resisting a new challenge. And just practicing this even 5 minutes a day, you'll get more and more relaxed. And you'll see the results, I promise you. And you'll feel high. You will feel high after you do this enough. So one of the crazy experiences I ever had was, I opened my eyes after, breathing from 1 to 10. And I opened my eyes and it was crazy. I was looking around and I look at a tree and it was like the word tree wasn't there anymore. There was just my brain was just like so at peace that I was looking at this fucking tree. And I was like, dude, what is that? Like, it was like I was seeing it for the first time. It was wild. It was a trip. And I just remember feeling, it was more of a feeling. It was more of like a universal, a universal emotion of just like appreciation of this living organism, this unique, huge fucking living organism that was also alive. And then you start looking around, you're like, holy shit, look at all this other stuff that's alive right now. Like all these unique blades of grass and like, I used to meditate by like a river and I just look at the water and it was sometimes when you open your eyes, things might start getting more clear, more sharp, more colorful when you open your eyes. When there's no like chaotic thinking of like, what do I got to do later? When is this over? How long have I been meditating? When you kind of just relax and you bring your attention to your breath and you just kind of just sit in the moment. You might start seeing reality almost like you were a little kid again, but on an even deeper level. It's really, really cool. So that's one way of doing it. That's one of my ways of doing it. But again, you can do it with your eyes open, your eyes closed. You can do it laying down if you want. Just be careful if you lay down, because if you close your eyes when you lay down, from my experience, what you'll start doing is you start getting tired, and then you might start like getting visuals of like dreams, and it's like you start falling asleep. That's been my experience. So if you're gonna lay down, it's cool, but try to just like keep your eyes open. And what's cool is when you start doing this, let me go back to that one thing that I was telling you guys about earlier. So when you realize you're thinking about stuff, good example, when you get a crush on a girl, what does that mean? You're thinking about her all the time, right? Stop doing this. Stop thinking about her, because she can smell it next time you see her. She'll be turned off immediately because she knows that you've been creating this reality. Girls are like really in tune with this stuff. So if you're ever caught thinking about stuff or you're thinking about a girl, stop. Bring yourself. Remember the secret. Remember the way out. Remember your escape. The breath. The breath has historically been an anchor, in Eastern philosophies and religions, and there's a reason for that. Dating thousands and thousands of years back, the breath has been the anchor, because you can't think about stuff in the moment. Or rather, you can't think about stuff when your attention is on your breath. Now, there's other anchors that you can use to bring yourself into the moment, like just feeling the wind, or feeling the sun, or just hearing the sounds, hearing the birds and stuff, watching and listening to like the water flow in a river. And it's just really, really, really serene. It's really, really cool, guys. And don't really have any outcome, just kind of don't try to compare it to my experience. Just enjoy your own path on practicing this meditation technique. And there's other ways to do it. Like you can actually try doing this right now. Bring your attention to your hand and see if you can feel like the aliveness inside your hand. Just bring your attention there. See if you can feel anything. You might feel like some tingles. You might feel like very, very subtle tingling. You might not feel anything, but just bring your attention to the aliveness in your hand. And you can actually start to kind of do like a full body scan after you start at your hand. That's another way to do it. But in reality, as you're kind of going throughout your day-to-day, I just want to give you guys this one helpful tip. If you realize that you're thinking, fucking awesome. That's like, most people can't even do that. Thinking happens, and they don't even know that they're thinking. That is what unconsciousness is. That is what being asleep is in spirituality. Not realizing that you're thinking, So when you realize you're thinking, first of all, fucking awesome. That's like, you should be giving yourself like a pat on the back when you realize that you're thinking. Because that's huge. That is huge when you realize that. And step 2 is just come back to the moment, man. Because that's where That's where the gold is. That's where you'll be fucking happy. That's where your natural wit comes out, man. That's where that's where the flow state is. The last question that I want to go over is, how do you know if your practice is working? How do you know if you're successfully meditating? Here's how you judge this. Here's how you judge if you're successfully meditating. Your relaxation and your how at peace you feel on a day-to-day basis will grow. You'll be more at peace. You'll be more relaxed throughout your day, and you won't be taking your thoughts seriously anymore. You won't be getting stressed out. This is like freedom from stress. This is like how to be happy, because in that moment when you're present, you can actually just start bringing your attention to shit you're grateful for. And it can be simple stuff. It can be simple stuff like, grateful that I got food and water, because a lot of people don't. Grateful that, I got my health. Grateful that I'm alive right now. You know how many people are dead? Do you know how many fucking people are dead right now? I'm not, jokes aside, think of how many people have died in the history of mankind. You're alive right now during a small window. So you can even be grateful for the fact that you're just here right now. Gratitude to me is one of the secrets to just being happy. Not trying to get this next thing or the next thing or the next thing. You're just grateful for what you have. You're grateful for the present moment. So how to tell if you're successfully meditating? Step 1 is you're okay with thinking. You watch your thoughts with almost like a compassion and an acceptance. And you kind of just watch it pass like a cloud until it kind of goes away. And then you bring your attention back to the moment. That's it, man. That's like the big secret right there. And then how to tell if, you've been doing it right? You're just going to be more relaxed on a day-to-day basis. You'll be happier. You'll be able to just calm down, and you won't let stress affect you anymore. And again, it's a practice. And what you can do is you can start out at 5 minutes and then work your way up to 10 minutes if you want to. Up to you. I was doing 5 minutes a day. I just, pull up the phone, set a timer, turn off notifications from texts, preferably. Turn off all notifications on your phone while you're doing this. If you are going to use a timer on your phone, just my suggestion, set a little clock. So you don't have to constantly be like, oh, has it been 5 minutes? Is it 5 minutes yet? Is it 5 minutes yet? You know what I mean? So just set a little clock, a time stopwatch, or an alarm. And that way you don't have to be thinking about the phone. And if you even want to, you don't have to set a timer. You can just go out and just do some breathing, man. And just kind of look around at it's crazy, by the way, because when I first started doing this, it was weird, man. I do this out in nature. And I shit you not, I would start tearing up, and nobody told me that this was gonna happen. It's not like I read a book and I was like, you are gonna feel like you're tripping on acid. You're gonna be tripping balls. Nobody told me that. Nobody told me you might feel so happy that you start crying. Nobody told me that either. It just happened. It started happening, and I was like, holy shit, man! I could just be happy now. I can literally generate this state within me whenever I want. It's crazy, man. And it's wild. It's wild once you start doing it, guys. And by the way, feel free to reach out to me, message me. Let me know how it's going if you start doing this. Let me know if you have questions about this. Let me know if you're struggling. Just hit me up. I will hit you back. Because I definitely want to see you guys, if you guys give a shit about this, I'd love to see you guys start doing this. Because it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the impact that it has had in my life. So we're gonna wrap with an action, because I'm a firm believer in speed of implementation. Because otherwise, they say knowledge is power, and it is, but true power is implementing the knowledge that you learn immediately. So here is the action for the week for you guys. This is the challenge that you guys are gonna do this week. Go outside somewhere. And if you can't go outside where you are, it's cool. Just do it inside. But me personally, I like doing it outside because it can be pretty cool. Looking around, looking at nature, and you feel you feel like an understanding. It's more of a feeling. You'll see. Once you start doing it, you'll know what I mean. So go outside somewhere and meditate just for 5 minutes. Don't worry about thinking. Just feel. Just feel it. Just try to feel the sensations in your body. Feel your breath. Listen to the sounds. Smell the smells. And focusing on your breath will help you. And once the mind is calm, you can kind of just experience the moment for what it is. So you can do that breathing technique that I told you about. You can count your breaths. And then once you hit, 1, so you go, 1 breath, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 10, back down to 1. And then at that point, you don't have to focus on deep breathing anymore. You can kind of just let your breathing be what it is. You can kind of just breathe however your body naturally wants to breathe at that point. You can kind of just look around and just observe. Feel any emotions that might be coming up. Feeling any tension that might be coming up. Noticing any thoughts in your mind that might be coming up and saying are we done yet? Is this over? Just watch the thoughts. Because you'll disidentify from the thoughts in that moment. And you don't have to take your thinking so seriously. Because again, it is an addiction. And your brain is going to want to keep trying to pull you back. But just keep at it. Just keep practicing. And you'll start to experience a deep peace that you've never experienced before. So that's the challenge for the week. Ideally, if you guys are digging it, keep doing it. I mean, I worked my way all the way up to 40 minutes. But I've been doing it since 2012. But just do whatever feels comfortable, honestly. Just do whatever you feel like. Again, I was doing it for 5 minutes when I started out. I still do it. If I'm having a really crazy day, sometimes I just try to bang out 5 minutes, For me, I like somewhere between 10 minutes and 20 minutes. It fits nice into my day. But if you're really loving it, you can do it as long as you want. So yeah. The moment you'll realize is the coolest. It's like the G spot. It's the sweet spot. When you're in the moment, man, you'll just start to feel so. It's just such a dope feeling. Really, and you might feel resistance at first, but then you'll start to feel a peace. And then once you're kind of just bringing your attention to that peace, what might start to come up is just this intense, crazy joy. And you might start tearing up and don't worry about that. Just fucking let it out, man. A lot of guys suppress all their fucking emotions because growing up, we've always been told, you're not supposed to fucking cry. You're a dude. But I assure you that's bullshit. Especially if you're doing this alone by yourself. Nobody's fucking judging you. There's a reason why you're having these emotions. Let them out. Okay? So try this out for 7 days. And let me know what you guys think. Hit me up. I'm going to be recording this and releasing it as a podcast episode. So, yeah, I hope this episode was super helpful for you guys. And good luck. Good luck with trying this out. It's you'll start to go throughout your day and you realize you'll be just super present. The whole point of the meditation is just a practice, but throughout your day, you'll notice you'll start doing this. You'll be thinking about some girl, and then you realize, oh wait, back to the moment, because the moment is where all this dope stuff is happening. The moment is back to joy, back to peace. You're not stressing about anything, man, because it's all illusionary. Everything up here is suffering for the most part. 90% of your thoughts are going to be negative. Until you can start kind of rewiring your mind and it will change. But most people are thinking the same thoughts. And I would say 80% is negative self-hate thinking. So I really hope this was helpful for you guys. And remember, get out there and do it. Don't just be oh, this is cool. I'll do it at some point when I have time. Just 5 minutes. Everybody's got 5 minutes. Just do it in the morning. Do it at sunrise. Do it at sunset. If you got a clear sky at night, dude, I'm a fucking stargazer. Go outside at night if it's warm enough. Just look up at the stars, man. It's wild. It's a trip. So I hope this was super helpful, guys. And this is the first episode officially of the Player One Podcast.